You're muted. You just
I said, good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing? Thank you, Renee.
You're welcome.
All right, so I am not going to take too long, guys. We have a guest speaker this morning, Dionne Nicholls-Germain, who is actually one of our team members, David Germain's wife. And so there was a situation that we had a few weeks ago, and Dionne was just, we ended up talking about how being emotionally, I forgot the word. She'll tell y'all. But this business take you being emotionally strong. And long story short, right? And so Dionne actually she has her own coaching business, her life coaching business, and I thought that her subject matter would be very relevant to everybody on the phone, guys, because we talk about getting 1% better every single day. Right. And so, but this business, we're not shoveling anything. We're not lifting anything. We're not, we don't have to be physically strong in this business. We have to be mentally strong. And that's why we do this every morning. So Dionne is going to talk to you guys. I forgot her subject. She can tell y'all her subject as well. But she's a beast. Just like I said, just from talking to her for a couple minutes, like I knew that you guys could benefit from what she has to offer. Dionne, are you there?
I'm here. Thanks, Colleen.
Good morning.
Good morning. Great.
So we got a hard, Dionne, just so you know, we got a hard stop at 9:30. So maybe go until about 9:20, 9:25. And then if you have any questions, we can get the questions in at the end, okay?
Okay, great.
Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, Colleen. I love how these things happen. We went in for one thing and have got so much more. Do I have sharing capability?
Look, do you see share?
Good, yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Awesome. So my name is Dionne Nicholls-Germain. I'm excited to be with you today. We're going to be looking at minimizing imposter syndrome to maximize your success. So as Colleen mentioned, I am a life and leadership coach. I'm the founder of Live Your Best Life for You. I am a speaker and now author. So my book drops this week. I literally just hit the publish button on Amazon yesterday. So I'm really excited about that. And the reason I am so passionate about this topic, imposter syndrome, is because one, I can relate personally. Two, I've been coaching leaders and founders across nations. And I kept hearing the same recurring theme. It didn't matter if it was in India, the UK, New Zealand, Philippines. I kept hearing the same themes about, I'm afraid to speak up. What if I'm wrong? Or I don't belong. And it didn't matter if they were CEOs or on the front lines. So that's why I'm bringing this topic to you today. Because whenever we are in a business, these professional service businesses where we've got to be personally driven, this imposter syndrome wants to go haywire. So that's why we're going to look at this today. We're going to look at what is it. We're going to look at a few different ways that we can minimize it. And then if you're open to it, I have an opportunity at the end that you can take advantage of for some ongoing group coaching and support. So imposter syndrome, basically what it is in a nutshell is this concept that one day people are going to find out that I'm a fraud, that I'm not actually smart enough to be here, or they're going to find I'm not qualified enough to be here, or I'm telling myself, I must have gotten here by luck. Okay. So I'm actually going to ask everyone to put a +1 in the chat as I go through some of these characteristics to see how many of them that you actually have that you don't even realize may be running the show. Okay. Behind the scenes. So anyone experiencing self-doubt, especially when you're starting a new business, +1 in the chat. Perhaps you're sabotaging your own success. So maybe you actually do make progress. And then all of a sudden your brain wants to tell you, uh-oh, this is new. This is different. I want to protect you. So now I'm going to find ways to hold myself back, to actually sabotage my own success. +1 in the chat. Maybe you're undervaluing what you bring. You might have a laundry list of accomplishments and awards, and you still don't think you're good enough. +1 in the chat. Low self-esteem. +1 in the chat. Maybe it's the fear of failure, because you know what? If I fail, that means I'm a failure. Does that feel resonant with anyone? So it means something about me. So why even bother try? Fear of failure. +1 in the chat. Perhaps you're just overworking. And that typically stems back to the low self-esteem, by the way, because you've got to perform. There's usually some external validation. You're getting juice out of the overworking because maybe that's the badge of honor I get. And guess what happens? Now I'm burning out, and why isn't my business moving? Perhaps you can't even accept the wins. You can't celebrate your own achievements. You're on to the next. +1 in the chat. And this one right here, ooh, they say comparison is the thief of joy. You may have heard that one. So maybe you're not staying in your own lane. You're comparing yourself to others. You're checking out other people's highlight reels. So now, once again, I'm deflated. So why bother? Why try? Right? We've got 40 +1s in the chat. Can you see that you're not alone? Here are a few stats just to give you a sense, okay? They say 80% of people experience imposter syndrome, 20% regularly. And maybe you're that person right now that has not experienced it. But I always say, take the meat, spit out the bones, right? Come here with a beginner's mindset. There's still going to be something for you. But this one, ladies, is the one that really got me. That we are actually at higher risk, 75% higher risk of experiencing imposter syndrome. There's a whole study done by KPMG. So we have to be so mindful of when this thing wants to rear its ugly head. And at the root of it all is the inner critic. It's that negative voice. It sounds typically pretty harsh. You know, it usually shows up when we want to step out of our comfort zone again, do something new or do something great. And where it stems from, typically from childhood, from someone we're looking for love from. And what they said way back when was really at the root of it all to protect you, and was out of fear. But now as an adult, it sounds really harsh. But we have to realize, it's not us, it's not you, it's a part of you. And that voice is not real. So it's getting to the point where, okay, so what can I do to disrupt it? And that's what we're going to do today. But some of these voices on the screen might sound familiar to you as well, right? Why, I can't do anything right. I'm not good enough. Right? You get the flavor. But we don't have to be at the mercy of these abusive voices. There are ways to mitigate it, and we're going to go through some of those. Now, they always say transformation, it starts with awareness. And with awareness, you can take new action. And with new action, you can have new results. So the more you know about this thing, you can target it and make adjustments. So I'm going to just kind of briefly take you through the 5 different types of imposter syndrome. This one right here, I declare I am a recovering perfectionist myself. But when you're a perfectionist, you know what typically happens? You're so obsessed with the details and perfecting, you never get started. Or because you get into that, paralysis analysis of, putting these high standards on yourself, and you have that fear of failure. So you never get going, or you're very slow moving, and you're wondering why your business isn't growing. Maybe you're the superhuman, right? You put so much pressure on yourself to do more and more and more, and maybe your business does start to take off, and then you burn yourself out with the anxiety and the pressure that you're putting on yourself, and you're wondering why I'm not getting where I need to go. Now, just so you know, you can see yourself in more than one of these, but there's usually one that's more dominant. So just really feel into these for yourself, okay, as we're going through. Then there's the soloist. Maybe you're the one that's trying to do everything on their own. And what do we know? We are hardwired for a connection. No one in this world can succeed by themselves. You need a team. You need a mentor, right? You get overwhelmed. You feel isolated. You start to struggle, and then you probably end up giving up. Or things just aren't moving as quickly as they could be. Are you a soloist? Look into that for yourself. Be honest with yourself. Maybe you're the expert, right? You've got to master every step before you get started. You could have every certification, by the every license, and you still can't seem to move forward because I still haven't gotten enough. So it's just another form of procrastination. It has us wasting time. Maybe you're the expert. And this is the last one. And there's others. I'm just focusing on these 5. The natural genius. So maybe you come out hot out the gate, as my husband says, just ignorance on fire because you've just got that natural ability. And then you just seem to be hitting it. And then all of a sudden, you have a bad day, 5 no-shows. Or you just, you forgot to ask that question at the beginning. So, now it's getting hard and you give up or you get deflated and it takes you a while to recover and you're wondering why your numbers aren't where they are. You're stop and go. That's the natural genius. So just take that in, kind of feel into where you might think you fall into, right? So that way, once you have the awareness, you can make different decisions, take new action. So these are the 3 areas that we're going to focus on: living out of commitment versus mood. We're going to look at self-compassion as a form of mitigating the inner critic and imposter syndrome. And the last one is growth mindset. All right. So checking in. Before I keep going, any questions so far?
This is so powerful, man.
Thank you for the comment. Yeah. Because when you start
Now y'all see where I get my superpowers from, guys. This is where I get my superpowers from.
Thank you, David. I didn't pay him to say that, by the way. Any other comments, takeaways?
I have a comment.
Sure.
Hey, it just makes me realize that you have to do a self-inventory of what's going on with yourself. With your emotions, how are you responding? Just to check yourself.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really helping.
Awesome. Great to see you, Hardly.
Good to see you too.
Yeah. Thank you. So what is a commitment? I love this quote by Shearson Lehman. Commitment is what transforms a promise into reality. It is the words that speak boldly of your intentions and the actions that speak louder than the words. It is making the time when there is none, coming through time after time, year after year. Commitment is the stuff character is made of, the power to change the face of things. It is the daily triumph of integrity over skepticism. There's so much in here, but it's the part about commitment is the stuff that character is made of. When you are living out of your commitment, growth, personal transformation are inevitable because it requires more of you. And so when we're living out of commitment, we're living out of something that's so much bigger and it's the North Star, if you will. It's the thing that anchors us, right? So rather than focusing on our circumstances or the stories or the excuses, right? We get really connected to our highest commitment. And we're going to see how this plays out. So I want to really go through a powerful distinction here. And actually, I guess what I'll do is I'll share this story, which really captures, I guess, why I am so such a big proponent of living out of your commitment. So I teach a course on forgiveness. And before I can even get people to kind of shift towards even embarking on that journey, I share my story of how I was able to forgive the unforgivable. So I was in a relationship with my college sweetheart for over 17 years, my son's father, and about 10 years in, there was infidelity. At one point, I found out there was a secret child. They were already 3 years old. So unfortunately, I had to leave the relationship. But my highest commitment was to my son's well-being. So I chose to forgive. I was committed to creating a healthy, loving co-parenting relationship. That was my commitment. So rather than focusing on the hurt and betrayal, I chose to anchor into making sure my son had a solid unit. And we did it. And we took it to a whole other level because we ended up launching a nonprofit together. We ended up touching thousands of young people through our financial literacy youth nonprofit called Financially Clean. From that, a 5-star rated podcast was born. Then we got signed to a network. My son was coming to see us teach classes, seeing us rewrite our legacy and put good into the world. Because I forgave, all that was possible. So there's so much access to power and possibility when we live out of our commitments. And I have to say, that picture earlier with with Barack Obama, that's me, his other son, my son. We actually last year flew my son out to Georgia State University together. We did it. We had Sunday dinners every day leading up to his departure. We took family trips together. And because I forgave, I was able to, let the love of my life in. David Germain. I could let the good love in because I forgave. My life is unrecognizable because I was willing to live out of my commitment. All right. So this distinction of living out of our commitment, what it looks like to live out of our mood versus commitment. I'm going to read this to you. A commitment is pursuing the result long after the mood we made the commitment in has left. I'm going to read that again. A commitment is pursuing the result long after the mood we made the commitment in has left.
Right.
So I'm sure you saw how that played out in my story. If I had done what my mood was telling me, my friends wanted to key his car. It could have gone a whole other way if I had let my mood determine my actions. But let's even take something as simple as, you want to start a new workout regimen and you wake up and you don't feel like it because you either feel tired or, oh my gosh, the time changed. Now it's dark. I don't feel like going. When you let your mood determine your actions, right? What do we know? They're not reliable. They come and go. They're fleeting. Now you're beating yourself up because you didn't go in the moment because you didn't feel like it. And then it creates the whole cycle. And then you're wondering why, again, you're stop and go. You're not getting the results that you want. Take a look and see, where are you operating from your mood in your business? And then when it gets hard, you give up, right? Versus living out of your commitment, where it requires more of you. there is a level of self-discipline and restraint, if you will, to follow through even when you don't feel like it. That's why I say the personal transformation is inevitable, because you're going against natural instinct. And every time you do that, you grow, you transform. So you can't help but be more resilient and more persistent. So you see how that works. So now we're moving on to self-compassion. There was a study done. I partnered with a company called Abroad, and they actually studied over 1,300 leaders and founders around the world. And what they found is that the number one blind spot is lack of self-compassion. As humans, we're just really hard on ourselves. And so the more we can actually practice self-compassion, which is a form of self-forgiveness, you can see how far-reaching forgiveness is, the more we're willing to give ourselves grace when we're learning something new, the more we're willing to take risks or even fail, because we can have compassion for ourselves. Again, when we make a mistake, doesn't mean we're a mistake. So we're not beating ourselves up for days. That then depletes our energy, our mindset, and then we don't get back out there like we're supposed to. Right? So really practicing self-compassion can go a long way. How many of you in this chat are hard on themselves? Can be pretty harsh to themselves when they make a mistake. So I'm going to offer you a tool that I find that is very effective. Maybe you've already tried it. But maybe it's your son or daughter, maybe it's your best friend. What if they made a mistake? What if they experienced a failure? What would you say to them? Devin, what would you say to them?
If they made a mistake or a failure?
Maybe, I don't know if it's your best friend. I don't know if you have a son or daughter, and they just, man, big failure.
Well, I tend to find it easier to forgive others, right? Than when it comes to ourselves, we always hold so much over ourselves. Like I've been going through a lot of personal things recently that I haven't really been sharing with the group. I've been kind of keeping it to myself. So yeah, and it's, my fault, right? So now you have to like learn how to forgive yourself as much as you're willing to forgive others, because I feel like we're way more lenient on other people, especially on our loved ones, than we are on ourselves.
Yeah. And so that's absolutely true. So I would love to hear from you, your best friend or your daughter, son, they made a mistake. What would you say to them?
You still asking me?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the question.
Sorry. I would say that it's okay. We all make mistakes. Like you just kind of have to learn to brush it off. I mean, don't hold it too hard on yourself, because it's just going to tear down a lot of your self-confidence, which is something that I've definitely done a lot in my life. So, just try not to hold it too strongly over your head and just keep pushing. That's what I would say.
Yeah. So know what I'm going to ask you to do? Turn that on yourself.
Yeah.
When you notice that you're going to start in that inner critic spiral, that self beat up, notice it again without judgment, because we know why it's there, to protect us. And then remember what you would say to your best friend, and then turn it on you. Are you willing to give that a try?
I'm willing to give that a try.
Because that was good. Don't hold yourself. That. Hold yourself. Right? It's like you said, don't hold yourself.
And
don't be so hard on yourself.
Hey, Dionne, I hate to cut this off. This is so good, but it's 9:30 and we got to wrap up.
Oh, that was fast. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think you guys have gotten a lot. I'm going to just click over here and say one thing. I'm offering a 90-day Conquering Unforgiveness Challenge on 1/9. It's 90 days. If you'd like to join, the only thing you have to do is, and then these are all the benefits of it. But anyways, let me just get past all of this and say, if you'd like to join, all you have to do is buy the journal. Everything else is free. We will meet once a month for 3 months, those 90 days. The journal is $27.70. Small investment for big impact. And I'm actually going to take you through the Conquering Unforgiveness Mastermind. And I will say the level of breakthrough that's taken place with people who have gone through the program, it's pretty amazing. So that's my offer to you. So you can scan.
So Dionne, if you can text that to me, I can post that in our group because we do have to wrap up. Okay. Thank you so much for your time. And we may have to get you back on here so you can kind of continue. But if you send that to me, I'll post in our group, and whoever's interested can definitely sign up. Guys, can you take yourselves off mute and thank Dionne for her time this morning, please?
Thank you.
Thanks, Dionne.
Thank you, Dionne.
That was awesome.
That was right on time.
Thank
Perfect.
you.
Thank you so
Absolutely
much.
amazing and powerful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you
And
so
thank
much,
you,
Dionne. We
David
appreciate
Jermaine.
you.
Oh, my pleasure.
Yes, for
Thank
sharing.
you again for the opportunity.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. Live dial is still live dialing today. Doesn't matter if it's a day before Thanksgiving. Let's take this information and use it, and let's go. Have a great day.
Bye.